welcome everyone back to Mr. Dar weather updates. So today we're going to be doing, our first winter forecast of the channel. So this is the first time of me doing this. Obviously I've been on this channel for about a month now, so I'm pretty new to it, but I've been looking at a few videos on how to obviously forecast doing winter forecast. It is the it will be this forecast will be extended for 3 months, so this might cover the rest of this month, so October, the rest of November and December as well. Just looking at the first half of winter, just to see what it might be like, just to like an idea. Obviously these are going to be very uncertain and probably a little bit inaccurate as well, but we'll have to see. We have a lot of models to have a look at today, a lot more than we usually do on our extended forecast. This is a triple forecast, which will be covering over 3 months, just to see what it's going to be like in the first half of winter. So I'll put a few disclaimers on. I am not an expert at this, I'm only kind of an amateur. I do know what I'm talking about. I have been working with the GFS, the UKV, quite a lot. So today we're going to have a look at the ESMWF in a few detail, and the extended GFS, which will be taking us into parts of winter, well, all of winter, just to give us kind of a what will be going on into the rest of 2024, into the winter season, 225 into the second half. So I'll be doing a separate video on what the second half of winter would be doing, probably sometime in November, so stay tuned for that. Now, my voice is a little bit croaky, so I will have to sip a little bit of tea just to get my voice better, because we're going to be talking a lot in today's video, going through a lot of information and graphs. Like I said, please let me know if I've got anything wrong, if you don't agree, just please let me know, and we'll sort that out. So, we'll have a look at that. So, before we start, I just want to say thank you very much for commenting and watching my videos lately on my YouTube channel, which some people have, and whoever that is, please make sure to share with your friends, just make sure I'm here, just see how I'm like. Obviously, make sure to watch my videos before you want to subscribe, just to make sure the content is okay for you. So, we're going to get into the forecast now. We're first going to have a look at a 72-hour forecast, if I can find it. There we go. 72-hour forecast, which is a lot more detailed than the GFS is. It zooms in to the UK a little bit more. As you can see here, we're starting from the 4th of October, so I'm just going to rewind that. There we go. So firstly, we're just going to do a short range, just to catch us up a little bit. So firstly, we have the UK here. We're in the highest pressure today, but for tomorrow, you can see here an emerging low pressure system is coming very soon. This is actually, I believe, is this the ex-hurricane? It might be. So that could give some disruption. We have seen a few photos that it is kind of shifting direction a little bit. It's still a little bit uncertain, and we'll be going through this hurricane soon. But it does look like, as we get a little bit further into the month, it looks a little bit unsettled with an air of low pressure coming in after Tuesday. So, probably going to get some more showers and heavy rain possible. Oops, sorry about that. So that is the 72-hour forecast. Now, we're going to have a look at the Met Office likelihood. So, this is going to tell us what we are going to be expecting for the first half of winter of 2024 to 2025. They will be telling us how likely it will be cold, it will be mild, or it will be wet. So, we're going to have a look at that now. Okay, so, oops, sorry about that. Let me just get that back on. Where did I put it? There we go. So, firstly, I've got the 3-month outlook from the Met Office to see what's going to be happening. Okay, we have a lot to read on this, so this will be taking about 10 minutes. this is the 3-month likelihood of an impact. So this will be expecting any conditions such as will it be cold, will it be mild, or will it be average from this graph. So we're going to have a look at here. First, have a look at the temperature. We have a 10% chance of the season, or at least the first 3 months of the winter season, to be cold. So 10%. So 0.5% of a normal chance. And we have a 55% chance of near average, which is 0.9x normal chance. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a lot more average weather, with probably mix up of these two. Probably most likely the mild, because we have 35% of mild. 35% that the chance of season will be mild, at 1.8% x the normal chance. So does definitely look like it's going to be quite mild for at least the temperature to be around 10. Just a few degrees above the average, which is about 6, 7, 8 degrees, which is in November and December. These are the main months this is going to be covering. You can see here the period is from now to December, so that's kind of what it's so from now it is from now to December. So this is only the first half. So I will be doing the second half when that is going to be out, and I believe that will be after the 28th of August. So yeah, 35% of the season being mild. So definitely have a lot of increased likelihood. It will be definitely mild with a lot more changeable conditions. At least before December or around that area. So from now to Christmas, really. That's what it's kind of asking. So probably most of November, even though November is wet and mild anyway. We can't really rule out the possible cold spell. We'll have to see on what will happen. And have a look at the precipitation. 20% of the season will be dry. Sorry, 20% chance of the season will be dry, which is 1 times the normal chance. We have a 60% chance of the season being around average. So the average season is always wet. Definitely looks like it might be a little bit wetter than average. And here it says 20% the chance will be 20% chance the season will be wet. So that is 1 times the normal chance. So definitely looks like a lot changeable conditions. So wet and windy. And I don't know about that yet, but wet and mild conditions from now to December, definitely likely. We still could see some dry conditions possible. So that was the precipitation. Having a look at the wind speed, 25% of the season will be calm. 25% of the season will be calm. 1.3 times the normal chance. But a 55% of the season will be near average, 0.9 times the normal chance, but 20% of the season will be windy. So again, changeable. Probably going to have all of these really. We have a chance of windy, calm, and around the average. So probably expecting both. You can see again, the issue date was the 30th of 9, so this is when it came out. It will be the next half, they're going to be updating this, would be the 28th, though in a few days. Well, not too long. So having a look at this, we having a look at how this works. We have 3 categories on how this works. Obviously, we looked at the temperature, the precipitation, and the wind speed in the next few months. So 3 months from now, rest of October, November, and December. Cold near average for a mild for the temperature. Sorry about that. Yeah, cold near average and mild for the temperature. So these are the 3 main keys they would use for the temperature. Wet, near average, and dry for a precipitation. These are the 3 categories. And for the wind speed, it would be either calm, near average, or windy. So these are kind of linked to the same conditions like the average over the past of a few years. The near average also represents typical conditions of the period, which will have a 60% chance. So higher and lower categories may represent unusual conditions what will have impact. So for example, if we had cold or mild, they might be unusual because maybe the average will be down. Each will have a likelihood of 20, just like it said on the I believe was a precipitation. So these obviously differ from the normal based on knowledge expected global meteorology patterns, which is an inventory they will occur. This is the grid that we've this might have been looked like over the past 10 years. Some years it's been mild, wet, windy. Sometimes it's been average, dry and calm. Sometimes it's been completely average. Sometimes it's been completely calm. And sometimes it's been completely wet and mild. Just like we've seen in the past few years. A few here. We have things that might actually kind of affect this. Obviously, it gets more accurate as we get closer to this period. Into late autumn, into winter. The warming of the UK climate, obviously, into global warming trends. Enzo is a neutral with a transition with La Nina during late autumn. We'll have a look at that soon. This will be this La Nina would be actually increasing the northwesterly winds into early winter. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. We also have the active MGO, which will have a southward shift in the track of the Atlantic system, and that's in early October, which is now. So again, a greater chance at nice now, settled conditions which will be developing later in October. But from now to December at the whole, lower than average pressure. Sorry, my voice is going. There we go. So lower than average pressure, which means low pressure under 10-30 millibars possible, is more likely to be in the northeast or north. With higher than average pressure, meaning over 10 millibars, meaning to the south or southeast. So the balance of the two of any pressure is unclear. This actually does increase the risk of what the La Nina event is doing, which is increasing the likelihood of northwesterly winds. Since our warming climate, there's only a small chance of period of course it's being cold. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. We'll still have some cold spells, maybe later in this period. We'll have to see what happens later then. Whilst the likelihood of wet is being, well, just around average really. Given the time of year, unfortunately smells of wetness are expected. It's that time of year, especially in November. Wettest in the northern western parts, mostly. The period being windy as a whole, around average, but maybe some more storm spells to be possible. And you can see here, just overall, chances of wet being average to normal. So definitely some wet weather coming up. A small chance of being cold overall in the 3-month summary, at least the first half of winter. And then, but however, cold spells still remain possible. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. It's still possible, but definitely could happen after December. We'll have to so the second half of the period, as it's a lot colder in January. So we'll have to see what happens in the other months. We still have a chance, don't worry. Now, before we move on, let's see if we have time. Oh, not really. If you're wondering what high and low pressure means, low pressure gives rain, wind and storms, so basically rain, and high pressure mostly gives sunny and dry conditions. So that's kind of what it means. So now I'm going to move on to the ECMWF. Actually, before we have a look at the ECMWF, I'm going to have a look at have a look at the phenomenon called we're going to have a look and see what some people think on the UK 2024 to 2025. winter forecast is going to be like. So thoughts for this person, obviously it is still a while away, but we are expecting La Nina, which is a phenomenon that happens in the North Atlantic, which is more likely to occur this winter. This means it's the El Nino Southern Oscillation, which is NCO for short. It is the warm, so El Nino, which we've definitely seen, warm phase. La Nina is the cooler phase. We can see here it's been particularly strong, giving that northwesterly wind. It's going to be the strongest in November, then it's going to weaken into January, and so on. Meaning that we could see a lot of high pressure, with an area of low pressure mostly. So anyway, will it be cold? It will be a bit of an early start to winter. It has actually been a lot colder this past few weeks, as you saw from the other forecasts. Frosty and ice conditions are possible. Increase of snow in the whole of winter at least, and then any other half of winter would be possible. So this guy seems to have a different idea. So it kind of depends what the models kind of think of. So having a look at the ECMWF now, we are just going to not have a look at that because we're experiencing anything. This is going to be showing us the most likely of thickness of temperature. This is below terrestrial and this is upper terrestrial. You can see today now we are in a 40 to 50% probability of thickness, meaning it's about above to just below average. Same goes for November again, 40 to 50% in most areas. Again, could be a little bit above to below average. Sorry, about average to below as well. But it will be particularly strong in December. We could see a bit of, maybe a little bit more higher than average temperatures than we are used to in December, due to the thickness of colours happening here, saying 60 to 70 to 70 to 100% of mild weather is likely, unfortunately. So it does kind of weaken as we get into January with more orange colours, giving it more changeable colours. So here is some information if you don't really know what that is. As you can see here, in the Americas, they're definitely having a lot more colder winter than the average. With the El Nino event, which is orbit around here in the Pacific, giving cold winters in the USA. This area of cold might get into the jet stream and might push into the UK in the later part of the month. So we'll have to see what happens there. Now if we compare to the ECMWF of precipitation, just to see how much precipitation is likely, we could say this month on a whole, not been too bad. I'll say average, so with the whites, neutral, we could see both conditions. We could see first half dry conditions or wet conditions. That's what it's, both of them really. Again, same goes for November. We could see some first half, maybe we have some wet, and the second half we could have a dry. So, yeah. It could be a little bit more settled getting on to December as well. Could have a wet and mild December, as we can see here, with more precipitation ready to come possible. And it does look a lot more likely as we get in closer to February, into January, with that yellow colours, 50 to 60%, especially in the north. More probability of category of precipitation is definitely possible in January, so we'll have to see what happens there. So if I have a look at some mean zonal wind extended range forecast just going into November, we can see here the zonal wind has been particularly weak for the past few days. It will be increasing as we get closer to November. Maybe give us more. A lot really is strong, so definitely going to be a lot. The zonal wind will be a lot stronger than average. We can see here sudden stratospheric warming, a rapid deceleration in stratospheric westerly winds. So this means that a chance of westerly winds developing is most likely from the 22nd of November possible. This is why I think it's going to be a lot more above average for November and December, as this is saying. Westerly winds give wet and moist air, bringing mild weather. So the last thing I'm going to have a look at in a few details is the GFS at longer range. Just to see what's going on. If you have a look at to November, we are in an area of milder weather, at least for the most parts of England on November. As everything said, mild weather definitely possible in November, or at least trying to be possible. Now, if we have a look at December, we can see here we're in an area of mild weather again. Mild temperatures above average. We could have some 10 degrees to 15 degrees in December, so definitely looking a lot above average. But we can see that kind of drops a little bit as we are in an area of cooler air masses, which is approaching in the south and could be particularly changeable into February on the first half and into March. Even though March isn't the coldest month, we can still see very cold conditions. -5, -10 in the south. We'll have to see what happens there, including to this. I don't know if that's going to be true. We'll have to see on that, because it does look unlikely, considering that we're quite early into the kind of month. So I'll really quickly have a look at the 858 PA temperatures as well on the GFS as well. Let's see. November, well, you can see in the yellows from the milder air. That's where it's coming from. Probably going to see about, I don't know, milder weather with probably giving some more wet and windy conditions possible. Here's December. It is breaking a little bit with some green, and then it got completely gone as we are only in greens on January. Maybe some more cooler weather, and that is continuing into March and February. So it does look a little bit more likely of cold, wintry weather into the second half of the winter. But obviously, I am not really too sure. I'm a little bit uncertain. So my prediction: wet and mild, maybe mainly mild for the first half, which is November and December, and then probably the second half is most likely to be maybe cooler than average, with some more snow possible, with high pressure as well. That's my prediction. That I think is going looks more on the side of the models. So thank you very much for watching. Don't take it too seriously. I'm not sure if this is right. This is the first time I'm doing this. If you want to know, if you want to see more of these, maybe have a look at some other YouTube channels who might explain it a little bit better than me. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next forecast.